Hi everyone, welcome to Making Meaning. This week we're going to be reading one of my favorite authors, and I know I have a lot of favorite authors, but over the years I've read a lot of books, and I tend to have favorite authors that are the students' favorites because it's always fun to read a book that the kids love to hear and interact with. All right, this book is by Ezra Jack Keats, and it's called Whistle for Willie. Now, Ezra Jack Keats is the only name on the front, so that means he is the author and illustrator. That means he writes the words and he made the pictures. So this is a story about a boy named Peter who wants to learn how to whistle. Fun, right? I know a lot of kindergartners either already know how to whistle or they're in the process of learning how to whistle. And throughout this book, inevitably, the kids try to whistle as Peter's learning how to whistle. So make sure you're paying attention and you can practice whistling later. Today we're going to be working on the skill of retelling. So retelling is just when you go back to the beginning or whatever section we're talking about and you tell the important events in order. It's also important to use characters' names if you know them, and sometimes we even talk about the setting or where the character is at, and all of those things help us to understand the story better. I will be stopping at parts of the story for you to talk to a partner, so make sure you have a partner at home to talk about things with. All right. Whistle for Willie. Oh, how Peter wished he could whistle. He saw a boy playing with his dog. Whenever the boy whistled, the dog ran straight to him. Peter tried and tried to whistle, but he couldn't. So instead, he began to turn himself around. Around and around, he whirled faster and faster. Whirl just means he spun around. When he stopped, everything turned down and up and up and down and around and around. Oh, have you ever done that? Spun around and got dizzy? My kids do it all the time at home. I don't get it. Peter saw his dog Willie coming. Quick as a wink, he hid in an empty carton lying on the sidewalk. So a carton is just a box. See the carton right there, the box? And then quick as a wink is just a saying that means he did it very quickly. Wouldn't it be funny if I whistled, Peter thought? Willie would stop and look all around to see who it was. Peter tried again to whistle, but he still couldn't. So Willie just walked on. Willie's so cute, isn't he? Peter got out of the carton and started home. On the way, he took some colored chalks out of his pocket and drew a long line. So you don't see Peter here, but you do see that line he drew. Right up to his door, he stood there and tried to whistle again. He blew till his cheeks were tired, but nothing happened. We're going to stop right now. So I want to know what has happened in the story so far. This is where you're going to retell from the beginning and say the things that happened in order. Remember to use the character's name, and you can talk about where they're at, the setting if you need to. Go ahead and pause and tell someone right now what has happened in the story so far. All right, hopefully you unpaused me because you're ready to keep going. He went into his house and put on his father's old hat to make himself feel more grown up. He looked into the mirror to practice whistling. Still, no whistle. So a grown-up is an adult, right? When his mother saw what he was doing, she pretended that he was his father. He said, "I've come home early today, dear. Is Peter here?" So pretended is make-believe. His mother answered, "Why, no, he's outside with Willie." "Well, I'll go out and look for them," said Peter. Have you ever pretended to be someone you're not? First, he walked along the crack in the sidewalk. Then he tried to run away from his shadow. He jumped off his shadow, but when he landed, they were together again. He came to the corner where the carton was, and who should he see but Willie? Here he comes. Peter scrambled under the carton. He blew and blew and blew. Suddenly, a real whistle came out. All right, scrambled means he rushed in there because he was trying to do it quick. All right. So what has happened in the story so far? I'm asking you again to retell. You can just retell that last section we just talked about from the last time I asked you to do it. All right. Go ahead and pause me and do that right now with your partner. All right. Next, I want to know, what do you think will happen next? And why do you think that? Tell your partner what's going to happen next and why do you think that? All right, make sure you've talked before we keep going. You can pause me if you need to, remember, always. All right, I'm going to reread this page. Peter scrambled under the carton. He blew and blew and blew. Suddenly, out came a real whistle. Willie stopped and looked around to see who it was. "It's me," Peter shouted and stood up. Willie raced straight to him. He's got a smile on his face. Peter ran home to show his father and his mother what he could do. They loved Peter's whistling, and so did Willie. Peter's mother asked him and Willie to go on an errand to the grocery store. So an errand is just to take a short trip somewhere to do something for someone. He whistled all the way there, and he whistled all the way home. Oop. So that is the end of our story. And I am going to ask you, this is the question that's going to be your discussion question, okay? I want to know, what part of the story did you like? So you're making a connection with the book. What part did you like the best? Go ahead and answer that question in our discussion board. And then before we go, I have another question. What is Peter's problem in the story? Turn and tell your partner. A problem is something that needs to get solved. So hopefully you said that Peter, his problem was he couldn't whistle and he wanted to learn how to whistle. And by the end, he was able to because he kept at it. He didn't give up. All right, so tomorrow we're going to talk about our story again, but make sure you head over to the discussion board and answer about your favorite part. Bye.